The AMA United States Motocross Nationals, brought to you by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Hello, I'm Larry Myers. I'm watching video from the 1991 AMA National Championship Motocross Series. Today we'll bring you action from New Berlin, New York, the famed Unadilla Raceway. Now this is the final round in both the 125 and 500cc National Championship chases. They should be excellent. Now before we get to that though, let's take a look at what happened at Budds Creek, Maryland. It was just 1 week ago. When the gate dropped for the opening moto in the 125 class, Mike Kidrowski, rider number 4, had a 30-point lead over Guy Cooper, who is currently shown here in the number 3 position. Now out front in moto number 1 was Brian Swink. Cooper needed to pass both of these riders, needed to put some points on Kidrowski to have any kind of chance at all to win the championship. Brian Swink, though, really not concerned. The Pro Circuit Peak Antifreeze Honda rider was doing everything he could to win the moto. Look at this. Guy Cooper flashes by Mike Kidrowski. He's getting the job done there, has one more rider to pass. Let's see if he can do that. He makes the pass, comes up on the front wheel, hit a braking bump there and almost lost it, but he just kept the throttle on. That's all he did, kept it dialed right on and went by Brian Swink to take over the number 1 spot. That left Swink in second. It left Mike Kidrowski third, with Jeff Emme closing in the number 4 position. Late stages of the moto, it was all Guy Cooper. Jeff Emme had moved to the number 2 position as Mike Kidrowski, off camera, had taken a tumble, dropped to 6th, still managed to finish in the number 4 position by the time the moto was over. Second moto and another confrontation, this one between Cooper and Kidrowski. Guy Cooper, rider number 1 out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, had picked up 7 points on Kidrowski in moto number 1. He needed to pick up another amount equal to that in moto number 2 to have a realistic shot at the title. Kidrowski not having any part of that. Tried to make the pass there, could not make it stick. Guy Cooper riding for his life, riding for the championship. Cooper will do whatever it takes. He knows no fear in situations like this. Kidrowski, though, proved to be just a little bit too much for the Stillwater, Oklahoma Suzuki rider. He'll make the pass here, goes around Guy Cooper as Cooper just falters in that soft sand, got his front wheel in one rut, rear wheel in another rut. Who knows what happened? In any event, Kidrowski made the pass. He would go on to take the win. Cooper would also suffer an off-camera tumble, and Cooper would end up in the number 3 position. Although he did win the overall for the day, he gained only 2 points on Kidrowski. 500cc action, Jeff Stanton out front, Jean-Michel Bayle giving chase with Jeff Ward in tow. Bayle faltered going up that hill. Ward made the pass. Now in this contest, 13 points separating Jean-Michel Bayle. He's the series leader, rider number 8, currently shown here in 3rd, and Jeff Ward, who is in 2nd place in this moto and in 2nd place in the standings. 13 points going into the Budds Creek round. Stanton, the leader in moto number 1. Here goes Bayle. He goes to the inside of Jeff Ward, takes over the number 2 position. Ward looking for points. Jeff Stanton looking for points. Stanton was only 4 points behind Ward. This one was anyone's ball game. Good rides on the part of a couple of riders here could make the difference heading into the season finale at Unadilla. Stanton still out front. Jean-Michel Bayle giving chase. Here comes Bayle to the inside. That's where he zapped Ward just 1 lap ago. He takes over the number 1 position. Jeff Stanton dropping back to 3rd. At this point in the ball game, Jeff Ward was holding down the number 3 slot. Before reaching the checkered flag, Jeff Stanton would fall on his nose. He would drop back a couple of positions. Bayle will take the win. Jeff Ward finishes 2nd. Stanton worked his way back up to the number 3 position before the moto was over. Moto number 2, it was Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11, Team Yamaha out of Charlotte, North Carolina, that gave Bayle fits in the early going. Look at that pass. Bradshaw came to Budds Creek to do some business. He holds down the lead. Jean-Michel Bayle running 2nd. There's Jeff Ward holding down the number 3 spot in moto number 2. Ward moved up to challenge Jean-Michel Bayle. At one point, he actually got by Bayle, though. In the next corner, Bayle came right back and regained that number 2 slot. Before it was over, Bayle would move all the way to the rear wheel of Bradshaw, pick his spot, and he would take back that number 1 position to go on and win moto number 2. Now here's the pass coming up. Both riders getting a lot of air off that big fall-away jump. Jean-Michel Bale gets a good line and a good drive around the outside and regains the #1 position just prior to the finish line jump. There he is taking the checkered flag. Jean-Michel Bale wins a pair of motos, the overall for the day, and he will leave Budds Creek some 21 points ahead of Jeff Ward in the battle for that championship. As we head into this Unadilla round, both championships still up for grabs. We would point out, however, that something is going to have to happen to Bale and to Kiedrowski for Cooper and Ward to realize their championship dreams. We'll see if it does. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the season finale of the 1991 AMA National Championship Motocross Series from Unadilla Valley Sports Center in New York. I'm Larry Myers. I'll be bringing you the trackside action. Bob Hanna will talk to us from the pits.
Thank you, Larry, and that's Bob Hurricane Hanna to you. I'm standing here at the premier motocross track in the United States, Unadilla, New York, and we're looking for some great racing after a couple days of rain and a rough track. Jeff Ward and Jean-Michel Bale for the 500, points still pending. Either one could win. And Guy Cooper and Mike Kiedrowski in the 125 class. We're looking for great racing. Back to you.
Thank you, Bob. And if Bale were here, he would say, that's Jean-Michel Bale to you. Let's go first to the Suzuki pits. Guy Cooper, he owns that bike, #1.
Last 2 weeks, you've won both weekends. Last year, you won Unadilla. It's Unadilla again today, and the track's just about like it was last year. What are your feelings?
Well, the track is pretty rough now. We rode Friday, and it was really nice. He hadn't watered as much, and we were looking for dry weather and hard-packed track. But with the rain coming down now, and there's so many riders here, there's over 100 riders in each class, and it's really tearing the track up. So it's going to be whoever thinks the most and rides the smartest race that's going to be able to make it to that checkered flag.
Guy Cooper is 28 points behind the owner of that motorcycle, #4. That, of course, is Mike Kiedrowski coming out of Canyon Country, California.
In the pits with Mike Kiedrowski. We've been racing in the warm weather. We got a little different here at Unadilla today, and you've got a nice point lead for the last race. Are you pumped up?
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I'm here, I want to win this race. We were here in July for the 250 500 GP, and I gave my mechanic my first place trophy then, so I'm trying to get my first place back now. So that's kind of a bet between me and him. And, it's a little different riding here in the cold weather. Usually Unadilla is kind of cold and really wet, but today it's real cold. And, the track's not real wet. It's kind of dry and just perfect, it seems like.
The track should say relatively smooth today compared to last year.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot smoother. I don't think it'll develop deep ruts and stuff, and I think the braking bumps will be a little bit smoother.
28-point lead, we said. Does that take some of the pressure off you today? You really don't have to win today. I know you want to win. You want to show everybody that you are the champ, that you will be. It does take some pressure off.
Yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off. Like last year I was here, and I think we had about a 5-point difference between me and Cooper. And when we went out after the first moto, we were almost tied, I think, going in the second one. He ended up beating me. I lost it by 1 point. And for the 28-point lead, if I win the first moto, I'll be able to, kick back for the second moto and be all done. I'll win by 3 points. But, it kind of leaves a little bit, a little less pressure, but you go out there to win every race.
And that was earlier today. Moto #1 at famed Unadilla, probably the finest motocross facility in the United States, is underway. The gate has dropped. Guy Cooper and Mike Kiedrowski, along with a host of others, were at the front of the pack as one rider goes down in the middle of the racetrack, and that was Mike LaRocco. You want to talk about a hard-luck guy? LaRocco from LaPorte, Indiana, has been up and down. He's been injured. He's had motorcycle problems. This guy has not put together a good year. If he ever does, look out. He is going to be tough. Here's the leader. That's Steve Lamson, rider #29. He's on a peak antifreeze Pro Circuit Honda. Lamson showing the rest of the field how to get around this tough, rough, very rough Unadilla racetrack. Right behind him comes Guy Cooper. It looked like Mike Kiedrowski might have been in that #3 position, but right now all eyes are focused on Steve Lamson down at the low portion of this track. They'll make this left-hander a quick jog to the right, then a very rough, long, high-speed straightaway. A lot of passing will be done in this area all day, and Cooper goes to the inside. inside. They'll make a right-hander here, head uphill. This is one of the most treacherous parts of the track. The lines here change constantly all day long. You'll see riders going to the inside, then to the outside. They're constantly searching for a good way through that section. There are no good ways. Guy Cooper holding down the #1 position in this very soft, and as I say again, very rough Unadilla racetrack. He's still followed by Lamson. Kiedrowski running back in the #3 position. Behind Kiedrowski is Denny Stevenson. Then comes Jeff Emig. Talon Volan is up there. Jeremy McGrath. A lot of good riders to be heard from before this moto is over. Guy Cooper has no choice. He has to get out front. He has to get the job done by winning. He then has to hope that Kiedrowski is going to have some kind of a problem. Kiedrowski had absolutely no problem in getting around Steve Lamson. Kiedrowski has taken over the #2 position as the riders head topside. Mike Kiedrowski is charging. He is closing on Guy Cooper. Now, all Kiedrowski has to do is stay close to Cooper, and he'll wrap up the championship. He has a 28-point lead right now. If he walks out of this thing with anything over 25 points, then, and look, we talked about Mike LaRocco. There he is again. LaRocco cresting the top of that hill. He just got sideways and went down one more time. LaRocco's giving it everything he's got, but that's a little bit too much on a day like today at Unadilla. The track is much too soft for antics like that. I started to say that Kiedrowski just needs to stay with Cooper and he'll wrap up the championship in moto #1. But I don't think that's what Kiedrowski has in mind. I think Kiedrowski wants to win the championship and the overall here at Unadilla. He doesn't want anything handed to him. Doesn't want anyone to say, hey, you just sloughed off and rode for the championship points. There he had an opportunity maybe to go to the inside of Cooper with some kind of a block maneuver. Oh, and Kiedrowski gets sideways. Kiedrowski almost went down. He had that opportunity to go to the inside of Cooper, elected not to do that. That could have possibly taken Cooper out, could have taken both of them out. Let's take another look. Look at this. Here comes Kiedrowski out of that corner, and Kiedrowski gets sideways, and he almost went down. That's the kind of situation that Mike Kiedrowski has to avoid in order to claim this championship out here today. Now, let me try to put the points in perspective for you. I don't want to make it sound like all Mike Kiedrowski has to do is to cruise around, because that's not the case. The title is not wrapped up. He is 28 points ahead of Guy Cooper. Now, you get 25 points for winning. You get 22 points for finishing second in a moto. So if Cooper wins, Kiedrowski finishes second, they will have a 25-point difference between them. So going into the second moto, if Cooper would win that and Kiedrowski did not score any points, they would then be tied. They would have a situation where they would be tied in points, and in that case, the championship would go to Cooper by virtue of the fact that he has more overall wins to his credit than Kiedrowski does. Whenever there's a tie, the rider that has the most wins is the rider that wins the championship. And here's Kiedrowski right back. He has caught Cooper, come right back to the end. Both riders went down. Both riders went down. Kiedrowski and Cooper piling up right in front of the mechanics. That's the mechanics signal area. A lot of spectators there. We had a quick shot of Guy Cooper's wife, Janie, looking out over the top, hollering encouragement at her husband, Guy, and Guy Cooper is up. Now Kiedrowski is up also. Let's go back and take a look. Cooper has the lead here. Now Kiedrowski goes to the inside, and the two of them tangling. The two of them evidently, it appeared that Guy Cooper ran into Mike Kiedrowski, ran into the rear of Kiedrowski's bike, and putting both riders down on the ground. Both riders are all right. They're up and running again. Guy Cooper with about a 4-second advantage over Mike Kiedrowski at this point in the ball game. And now Cooper goes down. And here's Kiedrowski right back at him. And now that duel is going to start all over again. This race action in the first moto of the 125 class, the season finale, is unbelievable. Cooper, the defending 125 national champ. Mike Kiedrowski, the series points leader and 1989 champ. After 12 races, it's boiled down to this. Let's take a look at that crash again. There's Cooper. He just got it sideways. It slid out. Here comes Kiedrowski. Kiedrowski not able to quite make the pass. It looked like if he wanted to, he could have maybe slammed that wheel on the inside, but Kiedrowski backed out of that and let Guy Cooper go one more time. Cooper is going to win moto #1, and Mike Kiedrowski will follow him across the line in the #2 position. Now that sets up moto #2 in this 125 class. Cooper now has a 25-point deficit. If Kiedrowski scores no points, Cooper wins the moto. He will be the national champ, and we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to Unadilla Valley Sports Center in New Berlin, New York. It's the season finale in the 125 and 500cc classes AMA National Championship Motocross. If you've just joined us, you missed an exciting 125cc first moto. There's another one coming up. We're going to go into the 500s in just a second. First, let's go to Bob Hanna.
Jeff Ward, it's a cool day and you're down 20 points. How do you feel at Unadilla? I know you like this track. I know you can win on this track. Do you think you can pull this one off?
Yeah, I feel good. Every time I've come here the last couple of years, I've had to protect the points lead, and unfortunately, I'm behind now. And all I can do is go out and win. I don't think I've won a national here before, but I've got a lot of seconds. So I need to pull off a win, and hopefully something happens to bail. But it's in my hands to win the races, and where it falls, it falls.
21-point lead today. This is a Jean-Michel track here. It's raining, it's rough, it's going to be a smart rider's track. You feel pretty confident?
You know, I'm living in California for 2 years, so I am not anymore used to this weather and this track. So I think I am like the other rider, but you know, I like this track and it's cold, and I have enough lead, I think, for win the championship, so I just hope for a good race.
Are you going to ride conservative today and just conserve the points and get the overall championship, or are you going for the win?
I'm going for the win for the first moto, and if I can be champion after the first moto, I'm going to be free. So I think I'm going to try everything in first moto, and if I cannot win the first moto, I'm going to try to ride conservative in the second one.
You could use a little of that California 100-degree weather today?
No, nothing.
All right, good luck, Jean.
Thank you.
Most of the action seems to center around the factory riders, but a lot of privateers are out here making things click, like the Brad and Bad team.
We've got two longtime privateers here, Fred Andrews and Jason Buttle. They've got a new ride, so to speak. It's not a factory ride, but it is a ride. It's kind of nice to have the bills paid.
Yeah, it's really nice. You know, the factory, there's only like 10 or 12 guys out there, and the guys like us are what make the sport. You know, there just has to be more riders out there, and with the help that we're getting, that enables us to do it.
Jason, you enjoying the ride?
It's great. Everything, you have so much less to worry about. You don't have to worry about getting the races every week. That's all taken care of. All you got to concentrate in is the race, and that's what we're really here for.
Team Rad and Bad, I hear they're sponsoring you for Supercrosses and 500s next year?
Yeah, next year the program looks like it's going to be all the 250 Nationals, 500 Nationals, and all the indoor Supercrosses, and so far it's looking really good for us.
You two will be the sole riders next year, or will you have more?
No, it'll just be us next year, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll go from there, I think.
And I think we're about set to get underway in this 500cc class. The gate goes down, and we are underway. Let me just tell you quickly before the action gets too hot and intense. Jean-Michel Bayle is on top. He has won 3 Nationals this year. Jeff Ward has won 2. Bayle has 235 points. Ward 21 points back with 214. Then comes Jeff Stanton with 206. Damon Bradshaw, Ron Lachine round out the top 5. Sean Kalos, Litchfield Park, Arizona, rider number 911, has pulled the hole shot. Now don't let that big number 911 fool you. Sean Kalos is a very capable young man. He spent the 1990 motocross season racing in Europe. He was not able to garner the points in the United States that is necessary to capture a lower number plate. That's the reason for that big 911. He's a very capable young man. He's been hurt off and on throughout the year. The past couple of seasons has never really put together a good, strong season all season long. If he ever gets it together, he is going to be tough. Now, Kalos is out front. There's rider number 2. That's Jeff Stanton. We've not talked much about Stanton today. Stanton is pretty much out of this championship. Now, if something were to happen to Jeff Ward, if something were to happen to Jean-Michel Bayle, Stanton would be in line to collect the title. But we are really reaching to think that Stanton has a chance. He does, but it's an extreme outside one. Right now, though, they're all chasing this young man, number 911, Sean Kalos, out of Arizona. A factory-supported rider. Team Kawasaki gives him, I believe, bikes and parts. The extent of his sponsorship, of course, is between himself and Kawasaki, and we're not privy to all of the details, but he is getting some kind of help, and with performances like this one that he's turning in here in Moto number 1 at Unadilla, the final round of the 500cc National Championship, I would look for that help to increase in the future. A good lead over the top of Stanton. There goes Bayle to the inside, trying to get around his Honda teammate to take over that number 2 position and set his sight sights on Sean Kalos, but Stanton not giving an inch. With the championship up for grabs, you would think that maybe team tactics might come into play, but Jeff Stanton wants this win just as bad as Bale, and Bale is going to have to work for it. He did. He got the inside line. Here comes Stanton right back. Bale had the pass made. Stanton passed him back. Now off the top of that jump, Jean-Michel Bale repassed Jeff Stanton. The two of them are waging a private war for the number 2 position. This moto has the makings of a barn burner. We'll find out how it comes out when we come back. Jean-Michel Bale is now chasing Sean Kalos for the lead. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the National Championship Motocross Series finale, Unadilla Valley Sports Center, New Berlin, New York. Jean-Michel Bale tries to go by on the inside, but Kalos holds him off. Now Bale switches lines one more time. He is all over this racetrack. He's inventing new lines to make the pass on Kalos. I think that he may have it done this time around, but Kalos has got the drive. That's a long, very high-speed, rough straightaway. They'll make a right-hand turn. They're going uphill. The whoops down there are 3 and 4 feet deep. They're like miniature mountains is what they are. Extremely rough riding. Both riders handling them with ease, and Kalos holds on to that number 1 spot. He has absorbed the best that Jean-Michel Bale has thrown at him. How long can he keep it up? Your guess is as good as mine. But right now, as they hit that big, long, tall uphill, and again, it's very rough out here today at Unadilla, Sean Kalos has put the master, the 1991 Mr. Motocross, he's done everything so far this year in the U.S., has put him behind him on a couple of occasions, and he shows no sign of letting up. Now Bale with a great drive, and Jean-Michel Bale rockets ahead of Sean Kalos. Let's see if Kalos can come back from that one. Jean-Michel Bale, I don't know where he got that drive, has opened up about a 3-second lead over Kalos in unbelievable fashion. Now there's Kalos. He's having some problems. He faltered there momentarily, and Jeff Stanton has moved now to the rear wheel of Kalos. I mentioned that Kalos has been injured this season, and he's not probably up to snuff 100%. I think his timing is there. His riding ability is certainly there. We have seen witness to that, but he could very well tire before this moto is over. I don't know that he can handle that 500cc machine on this rough, very rough Unadilla racetrack. There's Stanton again to the outside, and Kalos takes him all the way to the wall and holds on to the number 2 position. What a great battle we're seeing out here at Unadilla today in this season finale. Now, Jeff Ward has closed considerably. Ward was way off the pace, and now he has the leaders in sight. Jeff Ward is in 2nd place in the National Championship point standings. If he wants a crack at the title, he's going to have to catch Bale. He's going to have to catch Stanton. He's going to have to go by them, and he indeed is closing the gap. Bale has settled into a good pace out front, but it is not the pace that will hold that lead, because I believe Ward is starting to close just slightly on Bale. Whether or not there's time left in this moto for Ward to catch him and make a pass, well, your guess is as good as mine. There's traffic out here. This track is so rough, as I have said on several occasions, that anything at all could happen. Right now, Jean-Michel Bale on his way to his 3rd national championship title in 1991. No rider in the history of U.S. motocross has accomplished that feat. And Stanton is down. That was Jeff Ward that just flashed by Stanton. Stanton all by himself in the middle of the racetrack. This rough Unadilla track has taken its toll one more time, and Stanton evidently going down hard. He really does not look too anxious to get back into the fray of this one. The Honda rather stalled. He, after a couple of kicks, got it started again, and there's Kalos. Now Kalos passing Stanton. Kalos had dropped way off the pace as we get into the closing stages of moto number 1, and Stanton had moved well ahead of Ward and well ahead of Kalos to run in the number 2 position, but he is nowhere near 2nd at this time. Jean-Michel Bale still out front. He's going to cruise to the win in this one unless something drastic happens between now and the checkered flag. Now, we have just seen witness that something can happen. Jeff Ward is still charging. Ward is not going to give up until the final checkered flag. You can count on that, but he's going to have to catch this young man, Jean-Michel Bale, 2 times a world champion, 2 times already this season a national champion in the U.S., and arguably the best motocrosser in the world today. I don't think anywhere you go that anyone would contest that fact. Jean-Michel Bayle has done it all. He has won by coming from off the pace. He has won by getting the hole shot and holding on to the lead. He has won under pressure, and he has won in a breeze. He's done it all this year, and it would look like from where we're sitting that he's going to do it one more time today. And Bayle went down off the top of that ridge. He went down sideways. Let's take another look. Now watch as Bayle goes off the top of this little ridge. We'll lose sight of him, but you'll see he's sideways. Watch this. There he goes. He's totally sideways. He did not come out. Jean-Michel Bayle has fallen. Jeff Ward has taken over the #1 position in Moto #1. This is the last lap. The question now is, where is Jean-Michel Bayle? 21 points separating the pair of riders as they went into this moto, and there's Bayle. Bayle is going to come out of this one all right. He's going to take second place. He'll lose just 3 points if he's able to keep it upright between that point and the checkered flag. He'll lose 3 points to Jeff Ward. There's Jeff Stanton pulling off to the side, and he's out of contention. Jeff Ward will take the win. Jean-Michel Bayle is going to finish in the #2 position. So this championship will not be decided until the final moto. 18 points separating Jeff Ward, the winner of the moto, and Jean-Michel Bayle, the series points leader, rider #8, who finished second. We'll be back to find out how it comes out. Stay with us.
Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. You've been watching AMA National Championship Motocross, and there is still a lot more exciting action to come. But before we get to it, let's go inside motocross with retired champion Bob Hurricane Hanna.
When I was 7 years old, riding around the California desert with my father, having a lot of fun on motorcycles, I had no idea that I'd be lucky enough to join up with the AMA at a young age and end up 7-time national champion. I'm sure there are many of you that would love to be involved in motorcycling and be involved with the AMA. To talk to us a little bit today about the AMA is Duke Finch. Duke, exactly what is the AMA?
The AMA is a nonprofit organization developed for the betterment of motorcycling in general, whether it be street riding, off-road riding, or racing.
Duke, your job at the AMA is more in the professional racing or amateur racing. Tell us a little bit about what programs the AMA has in the racing.
The AMA is a sanctioning body which you can start from a novice, a very beginning rider, and work your way up through to become an amateur, to a pro-am rider, to a professional. And that's where I'm involved on a professional level as field manager.
Duke, how's a young guy get involved with the AMA?
Well, the AMA has an 800 number you can call to join. And once you become a member, you can find, through the book, which you get from the AMA, you can find AMA sanctioned events to ride your novice races to start with and work your way up through.
One of the good reasons for riding with the AMA is obviously you guys look out for all our riders' safety and pick good tracks and see this as safe as racing can be.
Yeah, we try to weed out the unsafe type things and keep the sport family-oriented and safe for everyone.
It's usually a good family-oriented sport right up until the national events.
Right on through the national events. It's a real family thing. It's much more family-oriented than most people would realize, from the mini riders with mom and dad with them up through where dad's racing the senior class himself.
So the fathers can even stay involved right through racing and even get a little action in themselves.
Yeah, they start breaking at 25, and they break every 5 years on up through, and we've got guys still racing competitive motocross at over 60 years old.
Duke, I know motocross has been good to me in teaching me discipline and to work with other riders and work with the teams. Do you think it'd be a good idea for a young guy to get involved with motocross?
Yeah, motocross is different from most team sports, as they say. When you go to the line, you're all alone. You leave your team in the pits.
It would be a little different than baseball or football then. Now you're out there and you're kind of on your own on that starting line.
Right. Your team is back in the pits, your dad or whoever helps you work on your bike, and the training and the part that goes in is all behind you when you go out there. And it's a real disciplined sport for that purpose.
So Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the boy better be disciplined to do his training on his own, or Sunday it's not going to show.
Yeah, and that's one thing about the sport is you get disciplined into the training, the working on the bike, and everything it takes involved to be competitive, and it keeps you on a nice straight line.
Well, thanks a lot for being with us today, Duke. If you're interested in finding more about motorcycling and more about the AMA, call this 1-800 number. I'm Bob Hurricane Hanna, and we'll see you next year on Inside Motocross.
Thank you, Bob Hurricane Hanna. We appreciate that inside look. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Unadilla Valley Sports Center in New Berlin, New York. A cold, windy, rainy day here at Unadilla. As I said before, that just makes for ideal race conditions on this, the premier racetrack in the United States. That's what the riders say, and I think after watching races here for so many years, I would tend to agree. They just never seem to have a bad one. Here's the second 125 moto. It's underway. Leading the pack, well, up front again, it was Steve Lamson at Pro Circuit Honda, and look at the pileup in the first corner. If you're a Mike Kiedrowski or Guy Cooper fan, you'll be happy to know that neither one of those two riders was involved in that pileup. Denny Stevenson on a Suzuki has taken hold of the #1 spot. Steve Lamson running in the #2 position, and behind Lamson a passel of riders, any one of which could do the number in moto #2. Doug Henry is there, Guy Cooper, Talon Volan, Mike Kiedrowski, Eric Kehoe, and now comes Lamson around the outside of Denny Stevenson. Has he got enough room, enough momentum to make that pass? No. Stevenson holds on to the lead. Lamson drops back in the #2 position. Now Guy Cooper is currently 4th. There's Mike Kiedrowski. He's dropped back just slightly off the pace. Remember, if Cooper can win this moto, and if Kiedrowski scores no points, then Cooper would be the national champ. So it's still at stake out here today at Unadilla. Right now, though, I'm sure that neither Denny Stevenson, who is holding down that #1 position, or Steve Lamson in the 2nd slot really care what is happening behind them. I would have to think that should it boil down to a Stevenson-Cooper confrontation, and Kiedrowski has been put out for one reason or another, that possibly Stevenson would give way to Guy Cooper, because the championship then would go to the Suzuki camp. Lamson is all over Stevenson. Stevenson goes wide. Lamson gets a great drive. That motorcycle looked like it was on concrete. He just grabbed a handful of throttle and motored by Denny Stevenson on one of the rougher parts of the racetrack. So it's Lamson out front, Stevenson second, and whoa, I think Stevenson may have been knocked down. That was, I believe, Guy Cooper doing the knocking. Cooper come into the rear of Denny Stevenson, and Stevenson came out the loser in that one. So Cooper has taken over the #2 position. He's chasing Steve Lamson for supremacy in this, the second moto of the 125 class. Lamson out front. There's Cooper. Cooper now holding down second, and right behind him, #19, that's Talon Volan. Volan out of Sacramento, California, holding down the #3 slot, a pair of Suzuki riders. And let's make that a trio. They're being joined by rider #6. That's Mike LaRocco, another Suzuki rider. So Lamson on the Pro Circuit Peak Antifreeze Honda out front. Suzuki's running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as Talon Volan squeaks by Guy Cooper. Put Volan in 2nd, Cooper in 3rd, LaRocco in 4th. But a huge lead for Steve Lamson. He's running away with moto #2. We'll have to see if the Kawasaki's can catch him. Now LaRocco has moved into the #3 position. He's past Guy Cooper. Cooper needs the win on this racetrack. Now, I'm not sure if Cooper is conserving energy or if Cooper has just flat been passed by his teammates, but in any event, he needs the win, and of course that has to be coupled with a Kiedrowski problem, and right now Kiedrowski is nowhere in contention. Kiedrowski off the pace just slightly, and he's sitting back there calm and cool. My guess is Kiedrowski looking for championship points at this point in the ball game, and you'll not see him threaten the leaders at all in moto #2. Now we have a battle developing between Mike LaRocco, has moved into the #2 position, and Steve Lamson, who's holding down that lead. Lamson has led since the outset of moto #2 in this 125 class. And there goes LaRocco almost off the racetrack. LaRocco cut that corner awfully tight, stayed within the confines of the banners, but I think he was slightly out of control as his bike shot to the left. He kept it upright, stayed on the racetrack, and again moves to the rear wheel of Steve Lamson. LaRocco not a factor in moto #1. He had a problem, as we saw a couple of times, ended up on the ground a couple of times, and he just wasn't there. Now he goes to the inside. Can he make the pass? Yes. And LaRocco moves into the #1 position in moto #2. Now, you might wonder why LaRocco, as fast as he appears to be riding, is not a factor in this championship chase. Here comes Lamson right back. LaRocco, though, with a better line, wants no part of that, throws a little bit of dirt on Lamson. Lamson not going away. I'd have to say that this is the outstanding ride of the season for Steve Lamson. He's taking everything that Mike LaRocco has thrown at him, and he's come right back, stayed with the superstar, the Suzuki superstar out of LaPorte, Indiana. I started to say LaRocco rode the early part of the 125 season in the 250 class, but when the 250 championship was over, LaRocco, having nowhere to go because Suzuki does not have a 500cc motorcycle, LaRocco elected to ride in the 125 class for the remainder of the season, knowing full well that there was no chance of winning a championship there, but it was an opportunity to keep his hand at motorcycle racing, and he didn't want to get stale. There's Mike Kiedrowski. Kiedrowski is well back in the pack. I have to say Kiedrowski is running 12th or 13th. I think that he's just protecting, he's just holding on to that championship points a lead that he has garnered over the period of 12 races plus one moto, this being the final moto of the year in this 125 class, and he doesn't want anything to happen at this point in time to ruin or dash his chances for that championship. And look at Steve Lamson. He is all over LaRocco. If LaRocco makes any kind of a mistake, Lamson is going to be right back in that #1 spot. It's Mike LaRocco out front, Steve Lamson in that Pro Circuit Honda running in the #2 position. Talon Volan is right there, rider number 19. He's in third, and Guy Cooper is fourth. Mike LaRocco being hounded by Steve Lamson, and Lamson is putting the Pro Circuit Honda through its paces. Well, if there was any truth to that rumor that Lamson has indeed signed with Suzuki, I would have to think that his new teammates, his new bosses at Suzuki, would be impressed with the job that he's doing out there today. Mike LaRocco is considered to be the up-and-coming, the rising star of that team, and the rumor mill has it that he's not going to be there in 1992, that he might be riding a motorcycle that is, let's say, green. Now, again, these are unofficial rumors that we've heard from the pits. They've not been confirmed either by Kawasaki or Suzuki, nor by the riders. That's just the word that is circulating around, and you know how those words can circulate. LaRocco out front, Steve Lamson running in the #2 position. Talon Volan back in third, Guy Cooper in fourth. Mike LaRocco on his way to a win in moto #2, just a few more yards to go. He takes the checkered flag, and the moto is his. Lamson's going to finish second. There's Guy Cooper. Cooper is going to finish in the #4 position. We'll give third to Talon Volan, and there's Kiedrowski. He'll finish 12th. That's good enough to wrap up the championship. Have you ever seen a young man so happy finishing in 12th place? Well, we'll be right back with action in the 500 class right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. You're watching AMA National Championship Motocross from Unadilla Valley Sports Center in New Berlin, New York. A final moto to be run in the 1991 AMA National Championship season. It'll decide the 500cc championship. Jean-Michel Bayle is on top. Jeff Ward chasing him in the #2 position. Ward won moto #1. It all boils down to who does what in moto #2 as the sun comes out for the first time at Unadilla today. And that looks like Damon Bradshaw with Sean Kalos in tow. We'll have to wait till the riders sort themselves out. We get a better look at who's up front and who is doing what. And it is. That's Damon Bradshaw. There's Sean Kalos. Kalos led a good number of laps in moto #1 before, I believe, tiring. He ended up in the #4 position. An outstanding ride. And now Kalos has moved past Bradshaw. Kalos has passed Bradshaw. Bradshaw doesn't like that. He's coming right back at Kalos. I don't know if he'll get the job done. No. Kalos holds on to the lead. So it's Kalos out front. Bradshaw second. Chasing them, Jeff Ward, Jeff Stanton, and Jean-Michel Bayle is back around 10th. If he can stay there, that's good enough to win him the championship. Somehow or other, I don't think that Jean-Michel Bayle will want to stay there. I think that you can look for Bayle to work his way toward the front of the pack. Now, in the process of doing that, what he has to do is be careful of other riders. He does not want to find himself on the ground, the victim of a lapper or the victim of a rider that he is trying to pass that maybe goes astray, hits a bump, and kicks over and knocks Bayle down, and either injuring the rider or hurting the motorcycle. That's the only thing that can keep Bayle from winning this championship. Now Bradshaw goes to the inside of Sean Kalos. He makes the pass. Kalos coming right back. Kalos is strong and hard on the roughest part of the racetrack. Kalos regains the #1 spot. Kalos is having easily the best ride that I have ever seen him ride as a professional. If this young man had been riding this way all season, I want to tell you, I think he could very well be a contender in the championship chase. He's not been able to ride that way, though. I'll point out one more time, he's had his problems with injuries and equipment all year long. But Kalos is putting it together out here today at Unadilla. He is proving to be one of the premier riders at this Unadilla track, the premier track in the country. A fitting showcase for the season finale. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Unadilla Valley Sports Center, New Berlin, New York. It's the season finale of the 1991 AMA National Championship Motocross Series. It's boiled down to one moto, the final moto in the 500 class to determine the champion. Sean Kalos out of Litchfield Park, Arizona, a privateer aboard a Kawasaki, currently leading in moto number 2. Now, he was the early leader of moto number 1 and finished 4th in that moto. An outstanding ride on the part of this youngster. He's being chased in moto number 2 by Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11. Behind Bradshaw comes Jeff Stanton. We had just a flash of that bright red Honda. Then comes Jeff Ward holding down the number 4 position. Ward is the rider that, if anyone is going to do it, the rider that is in the position to challenge Jean-Michel Bayle for this championship. Bayle is back off the pace. Bayle is biding his time, and he's picking his way through riders at a calm, cool, collected, and comfortable pace. He's trying not to make mistakes that would put him on the ground, that would put him out of his championship that he so rightly deserves. There's Bayle. Jean-Michel Bayle, rider number 8. If we go back just a year ago, Jean-Michel Bayle was leading the 125cc National Championship Series when all by himself he come around a corner at Washougal, Washington, that Washougal track that we saw earlier this season here on Prime Network. And he fell and injured his wrist, and that took him out of the title chase. So a sure national championship was down the drain, and that is what he is trying to avoid here in this 500 class. Already this season, Bayle has won the Supercross title, has won the 250cc National Championship outdoor crown, and is looking to become the first rider in the history of U.S. motocross to win the 3 major championships in a single season. No one, not Bob Hanna, not Rick Johnson, no one has ever turned that feat. And now Jeff Stanton being passed by Jeff Ward. Ward is out to do some business here at Unadilla. He won the opening moto, and now he's looking, and he passes Bradshaw. Bradshaw got a little squirrely, went wide, and Jeff Ward just took a good line and blasted into the number 2 position. Ward has never won a national at Unadilla. Now, he's had some good rides here. He's finished second a couple of times, but has never won a national event. And he's looking to do that today. The winner of moto number 1, chasing Sean Kalos now in the number 2 position in moto number 2. So the lineup looks like this. It's Sean Kalos out front, Jeff Ward in second. Jeff Stanton has moved to the number 3 position, and Damon Bradshaw is 4th. Running back about 7th or 8th or so is Jean-Michel Bayle. Kalos now has company. Jeff Ward has moved to camp on his rear wheel. Stanton is right behind him. I would have to think that maybe Kalos is tiring just a little bit. It's still early in the moto, but Kalos is not in tip-top shape. I want to point that out again. He's not been able to ride as hard as he would like to all season long. And there, Jeff Ward has made the pass. And I'm saying that in defense of Sean Kalos, not because he has not worked at his trade or worked hard at staying in shape. He's just been off his feet. He was injured during the season, and he's just now routing himself back into shape, and still a long way to go. The season is over. Jeff Ward has taken over the number 1 spot. He won moto number 1 on his way to a win here in moto number 2. Still, as I said, a long way to go. We'll see if Ward can keep it upright. Let's go back and take a look at that pass one more time. There's Ward moving to the inside of Kalos, and Ward just muscles the bike in there very smoothly, very cleanly. And watch what he does after he makes the pass. Let's check this out. Look at this in the air. He reaches up, and what he is tugging there is a little cord hanging down from the side of the goggles, and that is allowing him to clear the goggles. In effect, they have tear-offs. They used to call them tear-offs because in the old days you'd have to reach up, and some riders still prefer that system. You would reach up, and Damon Bradshaw goes down. More on the goggles later. Let's look at Damon Bradshaw. Bradshaw, all by himself, has gone down, and he's out of contention in moto number 2. So Color, the Yamaha rider from Charlotte, North Carolina, gone with a capital G. Getting the Yamaha started, he's back into the fray, but nowhere near the front. I started to say that these riders used to use, and some of them still do, tear-offs, and they were celluloid pieces over the top of the goggles. When a rider's goggle became dirty, all he had to do was reach up and rip one of those tear-offs, and there's Jeff Stanton. Stanton passing Bradshaw. Let's go back and take another look at that Bradshaw crash. Now watch Bradshaw all by himself, just simply slides out, and the Yamaha comes to a nice gentle stop, and slop is not the word, although Bradshaw might think that was a rather sloppy corner. He would probably call it slop, but I meant to say stop. Jeff Ward is going to take the win. He coast home in that #1 position. He'll win the overall today with a pair of moto wins, but it's going to be to no avail in terms of the championship chase. That has gone to Jean-Michel Bayle. Jeff Stanton will come home in the #2 position for the day in Moto #2. There's Bradshaw. He'll finish 3rd in the Moto. 4th place is going to go to Todd DeHoop. Rider number 32 comes out of Hudsonville, Michigan. There's Jean-Michel Bayle, 5th place, and Bayle wraps up the title. What an outstanding season this young man has had. The Supercross title, the 250cc National Championship, and now the 500 crown. Jean-Michel Bayle has done it all in motocross in 1991. He has gone places where no other rider ever has tread. 3 national championships. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this. Welcome back. The final standings in the 125 class look like this. Mike Kidrowski is the champion. Guy Cooper finished 2nd. Emig 3rd. Brian Swink 4th. Jeremy McGrath rounding out the top 5. Let's go back to the pits and Bob Hanna.
We're here with Mike Kidrowski, 1991 national champion. I know how it feels to be brand new national champion, but I don't think they know how at home. Why don't you tell them how it feels?
You know, today is probably the greatest day of my life right now. In '89, it was the greatest day. Now it's the 2nd greatest day. So, you know, it feels real good to, you know, get this #1 plate. I lost it last year, and I worked hard all year, and now I got it in my hands, and it feels really good.
You lost by 1 point last year. Did that make you more determined for this year?
Yeah, I think it helped me. You know, it's, you know, only champions win by 1 point or lose by 1 point. You've lost by 1 point, so you know, that's what I kept on looking at, and you know, I just dug deep, put my head down, kept training, kept riding, and just doing whatever it took, and I got it.
Next year you're riding the 250 class?
Yeah, I just now signed a 2-year deal. In fact, today, just before the first moto with Kawasaki, and I'll be riding 250 Supercross, 250 Nationals, and 500 Nationals.
That's going to be a big step?
Yeah, I think it will be. You know, it just takes practice. You know, that's what I'm going to have to do and get used to the 500 a little bit more, and I think it'll be fun, though.
Here's the way they finished in the 500 class. Jean-Michel Bayle came out on top. Jeff Ward finished 2nd. Jeff Stanton 3rd. Damon Bradshaw 4th. Ron Lechine rounds out the top 5. Ward was the overall winner in the 500 class today. Let's go to Bob Hanna, who was with Jean-Michel Bayle.
We're here with Jean-Michel Bayle, a Frenchman that did something that nobody from the U.S. has ever done, won 3 championships in 1 year. How's it feel?
Oh, I feel very good. You know, the first thing was, you know, my first goal was to win the Supercross, and still won the 250 National and tried to get the 500. And you know, I finished the season with 3 championships, so I'm very happy. My goal this year was to win, you know, to win everything I can, and now I can, you know, I am free, and I can, you know, practice in road race, and I can make everything ready for 93.
Fortunately, there's nothing else for you to win this year.
No, nothing more.
All right, good luck in 92 and your road racing.
Thank you.
And with that, the 1991 American Motorcyclist Association National Championship Motocross Series comes to an end. It's been a tremendously exciting series with great champions crowned. We'll be back in 1992. Be sure to check your TV guides. Until then, I'm Larry Myers. We'll see you next year.